there's one place that all homeschool families really love and adore, or at least our homeschool family does, and that is the library. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing our recent library haul, books that my girls have been reading, books that I love and recommend, and just some cute little books that I thought would be interesting to show. So if you're new here, I'm Shana. I'm a homeschool mom to a 7, 5, and 2-year-old, and my girls, they read. The 7 and 5-year-old, they read all the time, literally when they wake up all the way up until they go to sleep. They really enjoy reading, so I try to get to the library and let them pick out as many books as they want to, and I just have to preview all of them to make sure that nothing inappropriate are in the books, because trust me, there are hidden agendas. But yeah, when we go to the library, I usually try to put books on hold in advance that I really want us to read, so I don't forget. And then I just let the girls go in and pick up books that catch their attention. We go to chapter books, we go to the nonfiction books, we go to the picture books. And I personally love to go to the new books area, because who doesn't want to be the first to read a new book? Or maybe it's just me. So when it comes to like putting books on hold, usually I'm putting books on hold for things we need for our math curriculum. I really enjoyed the math books that comes recommended in our math curriculum, so I do that. And also when there are new releases that I see online, I try to put them in to see if the library has the book first before I purchase them, or something like that. So I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I'm going to get started and share the books and why I love them, and you know, if I really like it, dislike it. There were 2 books in my recent haul that had a hidden agenda, and I'm not even going to share what the books are unless y'all really want to know. But one of the books they had, I'm not even going to share. Let me know if you're interested, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the books that we're not going to show today. So right now I'm going to go with this picture books, and I chose all of these because why not? The first book I chose is Radiant Child. It is the story of young artist Jean-Michel Basquiat. I hope I pronounced that right, y'all, because I was definitely calling him Jean. So this book is a really good book. I was really inspired to grab it, not because I knew of Jean-Michel, but I didn't really know his story. I wasn't really familiar with his art like that. And so I was like, my son loves to paint. Like, he's a toddler, they love to paint, but he loves to paint. And also my girls, you know, they love to paint. And I like to grab books that share the stories of our famous artists and, you know, authors and figures and stuff like that. So I was like, it's a no-brainer, let me just get this. But I didn't know that upon reading this book that I would get so much information, and it's a really good book. So this book just shares a little bit about his childhood, how he came to love art, which is through his mom. His mom introduced him to art and painting and stuff like that. She used to sit on the floor with him all the time. And yeah, like the stuff he drew, of course, as a child wasn't the neatest. It wasn't like perfection, but it's something he really enjoyed doing. It's something he really loved doing. And it talks about like how his mother played a really big role in his love for actually doing an art, right? So his mother was a Puerto Rican woman. She designed and sewed. She cooked, cleaned, and she made the house look like a stylish magazine. So basically the way his mom kept the house in order and the style of the home and stuff like that, all of that inspired his love for art. But it also said that she also read portrait books to him, and you know, took him to theaters, museums, and stuff like that. She always took him to the art museum and had him point out the art that he loved and stuff like that. And it goes on to say that eventually his mom had to be like moved from out of the house. I think she had like a mental problem and stuff like that. And it talks about like how the accident he got in when he was a child, how it really affected him, even as, you know, as an adult. You know, how it was scary for him, and the book she gave him and stuff like that. So it was a it is a really great book that I think everyone should read. You know, whether your child loves art or not, it's a really great story. So yeah, it also mentions how he had to go visit his mom, you know, once he got older. He went to visit his mom, you know, and I guess she was in like I'm not sure if it was a mental institution or you know, some type of mental home because her mind was not well. But he promised his mom that he will always be a famous artist, and so he really worked hard towards that because his mom was no longer in the home. She didn't, you know, couldn't do those things for him now, so he had to figure out a way to get his name out there, and that's what he did up until, you know, his passing. And I also learned how he passed. I didn't know he passed at such a young age, but he left his impact, and I have a newfound respect for his art. I love that I used to always see, like, you know, a crown in his work, and now I understand why. It shares all of that in his book, so it was a really, really good one that I will recommend, and that my children enjoyed as well. So this is Radiant Child, the story of the young artist y'all, I had to pull up on my phone. Let me see how you pronounce it.
Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Jean-Michel Basquiat. So really, really great story. My next book that I checked out was this Young Gifted in Black 2. We own the Young Gifted in Black. It's in my girl's room currently, and I was like, what else or who else are they mentioning in this book? So I just wanted to check it out just to see who else is named. So if you're not familiar with this series, it's just a short snippets of it's a short snippet of Black icons from the past and the present. It's not limited to only the United States, so they're pretty much international Black icons. And so yeah, they have people like, many of these people I don't really know about, so I'm learning with my children. But they have Ann Lowe, Thurgood Marshall, Charles Drew. I saw one that I really want to study more, and I think her name was, I think I wrote it down somewhere. Let's find it. Coretta Scott King. Where is it? Annie Easley, familiar with her. It was someone who was involved in the invention of the GPS. So I can't think of her name, but I have it wrote down so we can dive more into the work that she did. She was a mathematician. I want to say her, I can't find it, y'all. I can't find it, but really great book. Let me see if I can find the name. I know her last name is West, but it's very short snippets, like a page, about their life and what they did, how they contributed, and stuff like that. Oh, I found it. So her name is Gladys Mae West. She was a mathematician that played an instrumental role in the invention of the GPS. So I was like, this would be really good to, she would be really good to study this week, since my girls, they know about the GPS, they know how to put in addresses to get to certain places. So, and they love math. Both of them love math, especially my 5-year-old. She's like, she loves math. So I'm like, I always try to introduce them to mathematicians, scientists, and things of that nature. Anything that we cover or study that they're currently learning, and authors, I try to always tell them about their stories and tell them, you know, what they've actually done in their fields, right? So like Katherine Johnson and, you know, Mae Jemison and people like that. I always empower them, you know, I always empower them by telling them, hey, they study math and science. This is what they're using their degrees for. This is what they went to school for. This is what they had to learn, and things of that nature. And it really fuels them to really focus in their homeschool. Focus and homeschool. So the next book that I checked out that caught my attention is Everywhere Beauty is Harlem. The vision of photographer Roy D. Carava. I don't want to be mispronouncing nobody's name, so let me just look at the pronunciation. Roy D. Carava. D. Carava. Right. Alright. So my next book is Everywhere Beauty is Harlem. The vision of photographer Roy D. Carava. So I had to look at the pronunciation. I don't want to mispronounce these names, anyone's name or the book's name. And this one caught my attention because I'm like, photography. My girls recently got cameras from their grandparents, and they love to take pictures of everything. They love to video everything, and I think I have some type of influence with that because I am a content creator. They do see me with my camera. I am taking pictures of them a lot. And I was like, you know what? let me just teach them. If that's really what you're interested in, let me find books, let me find documentaries, let me find different accounts to where this is how they started off. There was a young child, they showed an interest, their parents purchased them cameras, then they worked on their craft. So if this is something that they really want to do, I'm all for it, and as far as supporting it, and this book was really good. So this book talks about, it shares the life of Roy DeCarava and how his vision was pretty ordinary. Like, he saw the beauty in everything. He became known, you know, as a black and white photographer, as far as the color in photography, black and white photographer, but he didn't really do like super aesthetic photos. He didn't really do anything like super fancy. He shot normal shots. If he saw someone using chalk on the sidewalk, he took a picture. If he saw families walk, he took a picture. Like, he took a picture of everything, things on the subway, anything he could take pictures of, he did. And so I was like, this is what my kids currently do. I know they would enjoy this book. I enjoy reading it because it's like, sometimes you know what you did as a child, but as a parent, sometimes it's hard to kind of like, okay, this is really interesting for them. Or it could just be they're copying, right? So I just like to find things that they can read to pick their interest, to know there's really an interest, and to also just keep them educated on our famous artists and authors, figures, icons, whatever you say. He took pictures of like different families, people playing in the rain, and just different things like that. This book showed, well, I guess the message that I got from this book was that, let's see, let me find his quote. Look around at what you love where you live and just enjoy that. Take pictures of that. You know, sometimes it's hard to find the beauty in things because we're not looking for them. Either we're too rushed, or we're just unappreciative, or we just don't have time to slow down and really enjoy the simple things. So this book was really good. It showed how he started off his first camera and how he just used it in his free time to just go take pictures and stuff like that. Photography was his love. He said, I try to photograph things that are near to me because I work best among things I know. My photographs are subjective and personal. They're intended to be accessible, to relate to people's lives. People, their well-being and survival are the crux of what's important to me. I want to photograph Harlem through the Negro people, morning, noon, night, at work, going to work, coming home from work, at play, in the streets, talking, kidding, laughing, in the home, in the playgrounds, in the schools, bars, stores, libraries. He went on and on. He said, I want to show the strength, the wisdom, and the dignity of the Negro people, not the famous and the well-known, but the unknown and the unnamed, thus revealing the roots from which spring the greatness of all human beings. Oh, I love that about his story, and it's like, I really appreciate this book more, because the more you read books, the more you start to learn about people. And I love to know about like humble beginnings. I love to know like what childhood was like for people. I love to know like how they really became to love what they was known for. So this is a really good book, and just show, I think it's a be motivational for my girls to just look and read and see how, hey, he started off as a 5-year-old, you know, drawing on the sidewalk, you know, being an artist, and just used to love to capture any specific moments that meant something to him. So really good book. And this one was Everywhere Beauty in Harlem. I feel like that was very long-winded, but I had to get the overall gist. The next book I have is Before the Ships, The Birth of Black Excellence. And so the title caught my attention, and this is just a book that talks about like our greatness started before slavery. Sometimes kids are introduced to us, you know, during slavery, and they don't know the before. So this is a good book as a reminder to just show that like we came from great beginnings. Like, we were those creators, we built this, you know, we are those people, we are the light, like we are the chosen, right? Before we hit those ships. And so this is a really good book, just as a reminder, just as an introduction to people who don't know, and really some good illustrations. So little snippet of the book, it said, we are born leaders. We're regal and skilled, still proud as we build for a better future for those yet to come. Can y'all see? We are still shining, still beautiful, still brilliant, like diamonds under pressure. We are precious and resilient. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. We are the stars that rise to grace the skies, illuminating the night. We sparkle bright. We are the light. Really great book. Okay, next on my list is Brave Black First, 50 plus African American women who changed the world. This book is just a book that I pick up because I always want to just go through and do like a new person a week to learn about. And I love these books because they only have like a page of information. So it's not super lengthy, but they are getting exposed to African American women who has changed the world, whether it's through sports, music, things of that nature. So love it, love it. Aretha Franklin. Yeah, it's a few of them that I'm not familiar with. Okay, yeah, so it's a lot of books that not books, but a lot of people I'm not familiar with, so I'm always learning with my girls, and it's always fun just going on a study, going on a hunt of what we can find out, figuring out the crafts or things that they're known for, finding like movies and documentaries about them so we can learn a little bit more information. So those are all the books that I chose for them. For my son, I always go towards the board books, and this time we went with Grumpy Monkey. So I got 2 books out of the Grumpy Monkey series. My girls actually enjoyed the picture books, so I was like, this will be fun to see if you actually like it. So one of them is called Yuck, and the other one is called Are We There Yet? So with Yuck, it's pretty much taking you on a journey where, I want to say his name is Jim. Yeah, Jim Pansy was hungry and wanted a banana. He only wanted to eat bananas, but they only had peppers. And so, you know, he did want to try it. He was so hungry, eventually convinced him to try it, but he still said yuck once he ate it. So it's a really funny story. He really enjoyed it. He really enjoyed it, but he was like, nothing is better than bananas. Bananas are better than peppers, but peppers are better than nothing. So that was a little funny story. And then for the Are We There Yet? It's basically taking you on a trip to Jim Pansy, which is the monkey, and his friends was on the way to a pineapple plant. They had a tortoise with them, a warthog, and other animals. And basically, throughout the walk, the tortoise asked questions like, are we there yet? Like over and over and over and over. And then somehow it switched up to where somebody had to carry Jim Pansy, and they both asked, are we there yet? So it was a fun little story. He enjoyed it. He actually sat there and listened and laughed and pointed to the pictures and pointed to the names that I was calling out and stuff like that. So that was a little fun for him. Then next we're going to move into the 80 Twist Scientists, the Y-Files. My girls love 80 Twist. They love watching 80 Twist. So I was like, this is a no-brainer. These are nonfiction books. But they also have 80 Twist chapter books that they've also enjoyed. So with the nonfiction books, we actually checked out 3 of these. So the first Y-Files book is The Science of Baking. And if you don't know, I am currently creating my own, I would say, in the kitchen cooking guide. I was calling it cooking curriculum, but a curriculum is more formal, and I want this to be fun. I don't want it to be like, you know, assessments and quizzes and stuff like that. I want it to be intentional and informational fun in the kitchen. While you're in there with your parents, while you're bonding, while you're learning and you're laughing, that you're also being educated, that you're also knowing the why behind what you do. So I'm currently in the process of creating that guide for you. For homeschoolers, and I was like, I have to check out books that are related to cooking and, you know, bonding as a family and, you know, food groups and stuff like that. So I checked out this book because I do really enjoy baking with my girls, and they enjoy baking, and I think it's important to have a mixture of nonfiction and fiction books, to know, yes, it's cute and this is, you know, imaginary, but also like in real life, this is what we use. So this book is a really good one in showing like actual images, and also, you know, putting in a cartoon form as well. That's one thing I really enjoy about 80 Twist, the series in general, like the episodes, that is, you know, she's a cartoon, but they also show real people doing real things. And so this is just an example of showing like baking powder and things needed to bake. So that's what this is about, pretty much. How to bake, the different terms like like reactions. There's a recipe in the book to make sugar cookies, and we'll probably do that. Also, there's a science experiment you can do. It seems like you're making a volcano with the vinegar, water, baking soda. So simple science experiments, and then it's also like different questions. They included a real scientist on how to bake cookies, and it just tells like how baking is really a science. Like it involves physical reactions and physics, and it involves chemical reactions and chemistry. So great introduction to scientific terms in a way that is fun and interesting to do. It, you know, have different things, brainstorming. If you watch the A-Switch series, then this is what it is. But I love that it is pairing the fiction with the nonfiction, if that makes sense, with the pictures and stuff like that. So again, this was the science of baking. And then we also grabbed the Rockin' My Robots book, and then we also had grabbed the one on recycling. We returned that one, and I think they have another one about the science of flight. So, and also Bug Bonanza. So we may check out those last two that we haven't read just yet, but we love the 80 Swiss series, and the Y-Files. It's just like amazing because my girls do love learning about robots and doing experiments, and these are just a perfect way to introduce all of the science things that I want them to learn at their pace, at their rate, and they can also read this independently. I know that there's nothing inappropriate in these type of books, so I feel fine with them just grabbing them and reading them on their own. Next, we're going to move on to the Jada Jones. One of the Jada Jones book. This is a whole series, and Jada Jones is basically it's like the adventures of a 4th grader, where it talks about themes like friendship, it talks about finding your voice, overcoming your fears, making new friends, dealing with stage fright, and learning to work with others. And we have quite a few of her books here, but this one is called Class Act. It's a book on the journey of becoming the student city council candidate. She ran against her friends Miles, and Miles is also another series by this author Kelly. Starling Lyons, Miles Lewis is the boy series to this book. So it's Jada Jones and Miles Lewis, and I really love it. This is an interesting series, and my girls really enjoy it, so I had to get this one because we don't own this one at home. The next series that my girls really enjoy, and that is age appropriate for them, they are 75. So the next series is Layla and the Bots. Layla is a tech-savvy girl. She loves creating robots to solve problems along with her friends. So she go around and see what's going on in the community, and she create robots to kind of figure out the solution. So in this specific book, it talks about how she was going to build a special music machine. I don't know what the actual problem is for this book, but I know she's going to make a robot to do it. It seems like they're making a music machine that the whales can use in the water. So that makes a whole lot of sense. So we haven't read this one yet, but we have read other Layla and the Bots book. I think we read at least 3 of the other ones, and this one we haven't read just yet. But the series is very age appropriate, and this falls under the Scholastic Branches book. And if you don't know anything about branches, it's the transitional books between like early readers and like chapter books, if that makes sense. It has lots of pictures, not too many pages, very fun looking. It's on the 2nd grade reading level, and it said it appeals to kindergarten to 2nd graders. So this is one they really enjoy. And then another branches read, or like transitional reader, that we really come to love is the Disaster Squad series. And this specific series is where the Jackson family, this family, is traveling around in an RV to help solve problems with natural disasters. So this is book 2 in the series. The first book is on wildfire rescues, and it shows how they travel in their RV to go help people in the wildfire. The mother is a journalist, the father is a doctor, so they go prepare medical kits, they go take pictures, write articles and stuff like that, and the children help along with that. So this one was really good because we've learned about the California wildfires recently, and I was like, we read that book back in October. So now we're reading a hurricane rescue, but it's just a very educational way to learn about natural disasters. They get introduced to new vocabulary if you haven't covered natural disasters, and it's a fun storyline. Very age appropriate. I love that it's a family aspect, mom, dad, and children, as well as them interacting with other people and them traveling in the RV. That's very, very cool. I think my girls are enjoying it. So we started this one this morning and I made it to chapter 10. So we're going to finish the rest of this book sometime this week. This is a 4-book series where it includes wildfires, tornadoes, blizzards, and hurricanes. So the next book we're going to read is going to be The Blizzard Rescue. We usually check these out from the library, but I do want to actually acquire a copy, like buy a copy of each of the natural disasters to have at home, so when it's that season we can read up on it and like refresh our memory and stuff like that. And I feel like that's the last book I have that we got from the library. Oh, I forgot one book. So we also checked out the Mayhem series, and this is basically about a little girl who was an ordinary girl going to school and things of that nature until she found out that she actually has superpowers and that her family has superpowers. And so pretty much in every book she's learning how to manage, you know, being able to fly and things of that nature, manage her powers, and also how she's living a double life, so to speak, because her friends are normal but her family, they hold a regular job. Like her mom is I think her dad is a veterinarian and her mom is, I forgot what it is, but basically they all she goes to the regular school, her parents have a regular job, but they also have a secret spot where they go to meet and train their superpowers and meet other kids with superpowers, other adults with superpowers and stuff like that. And so it's just showing how she is learning to grow into that role and things of that nature. So if you're into stuff like that, this will be really fun. This one is about robots, and you can see her using her superpowers to actually overthrow a robot. So yeah, I almost forgot to include Mayhem. This is something that my girls started reading back in, I want to say August. This caught their attention in the library, so I bought the first series, the first set they have in their rooms, and then we just check out the rest of the books from the libraries. So Ed and me totally forgot about these 2 books, and these were my favorite actually. I just found out about these at our last trip to the library. This is Hair Magic, Imani and the Great Hair Experiment, as well as Imani's The Recipe for Teamwork. These caught my attention, of course, because of the puffs, right? I always want to get books that represents my girls and show them, you know, with dealing with their hair or STEM or whatever the case may be. But this one was my favorite. It talks about Imani and how she's preparing for a science fair. Usually she do like a similar experiment every year, or like, yeah, science experiment every year, but someone in her class had took her idea this year, so she had to figure out something that was, you know, unique to her, right? And so she has a hairdresser in her family, like her auntie. I love this story in the very beginning, how it talks about how her hair is very versatile and, you know, it can do different things. So she went to her auntie hair shop one day and saw her auntie making products from scratch. So she just watched as she dealt with her clients and saw how, you know, once she washed their hair, the change that it made, and she gave her a little backstory on what type of ingredients she needs to use and what are the benefits and how they moisturize it, and you have to have the right mixture and things of that nature. So Imani went home and she started to mix up her own ingredients, and she used her dad to test out the shampoo she was making. So I just love this little story, and how although hers is very unique, and how this, you know, little boy thought he was gonna win like he does every year, her experiment caught a lot of people's attention, and she actually won that year based on her experiment and how she connected the, you know, formulation of her recipe to science and the changes and things of that nature, how it makes things differently. So this one was a really, really cute little experiment. And this science fair was one that goes on every year, and that same family used to win every year, like for years and years, until she came out with her own little formula. So I love it. And at the end of the books, it talks about, you know, prevalent issues or history that has been made. So this one mentioned the Crowns Act, you know, it deals with hair in the work environment. And so I love that about this book. There are a few different books in the series where it says Imani and the Great Hair Experiment, which is this one. Imani finds the right notes, Imani makes a difference, Imani pick up pieces, Imani Recipe for Teamwork. So there are a lot of books in this little series, but I highly recommend it. And this one goes into teamwork. I think Imani and her team, step team, is preparing for a talent show. And so, you know, when they first heard about entering a talent show, the beginning talks about the hair story again. Beads, afro puffs, braids, pretty much how our hair can do everything, right? So they first announced they was going to have a talent show, and you know, they're really good in terms of their stepping and stuff like that, but the problem they had was coming up with enough money to get them there. So they kind of brainstormed together on how to do that. Imani had an issue because she tried to do it on her own, and her team really didn't trust her. So of course she went back to grandma, got an idea, tried to make lemonade. It didn't turn out right because she did it on her own, and she didn't even ask for a recipe. So she went back to school to tell her friends, and they were all upset with her up until she kind of put together a plan. She got the recipe. She figured out what her friends were good at and how they could help advertise and make signs and make the lemonade and stuff like that. And so in the end, it came together. Everyone worked together. They perfected their recipe. The whole community came out and they sold out, and they made a lot of money to get them to the step show. So this one was a good one. And at the end of this book, I forgot what it mentions. Let me find it. Oh, it just shows the author and the illustrator. Love that. And it also talks about the art of stepping, the story of stepping. So for this one, it says that stepping is a dance-like performance that has roots in West African traditions. I just love how they incorporate history in all of the books. So I think this is really important. I love the questions at the end. But yeah, I had to come on here and show you these because these are our top 2 books. These were our top 2 new discoveries from the library. If this was something helpful for you guys, I can definitely do more of our library hauls. And once we go, we try to go every 2 weeks. Sometimes we extend our books and we don't go every 2 weeks, but I try to go very often, and we always check out really great books. If it's not all the books we check out that comes out good, then it's most of them. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know what your children are enjoying reading right now. What are some good picture books that you want to read or have currently read and would recommend for us as homeschoolers? And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm a homeschool mom, as I said, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.